So hey Tina, is that Tina Calandrino? Or is it another Tina? I can't tell.
This is Tina
Yay!
Calandrino. Hang on, but it apparently signed me out of work UCF Zoom.
I think that's what happened yesterday too. Yeah.
So let me get in there. No, because I had the TOPkit thing in there. So that was my photo yesterday. So snooze that. Snooze that.
Well, I'm not sure if you saw my message, but if it happens again to
Yeah.
Tina today, and knock on wood it doesn't, if you find you can't record in the breakout session, come to the main room, and
Okay.
only in the main room I can make you co-host again.
Okay.
Because again, feature or
So
flaw, I can't make you
yeah.
co-host once you're in the breakout room, which is
Okay.
stupid,
I'm
but it
gonna
is how it
log
is.
out and log back in and see if it
Okay.
puts me back and under the UCF, but it
Yay.
should this thing. So hold
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Tina. Awesome. Okay, cool. So, Susie, were you able to record okay?
Yep.
I should be looking here.
I'm
Sorry.
I'm good.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Good. And again, I'll just reiterate to everybody, and you guys are in the Teams chat too, that if anybody drops off or if anybody ends up, in a place where they've lost their co-host access, um, either I or Sue will be here in the main room and we'll be able to remake you co-host. But in the breakout rooms, yeah, in the breakout rooms, you can't be remade. So I think that's really quite silly, but it is what it is. Okay, cool. So we have some fun stuff planned today. I do have a little April Fool's joke planned for the beginning of it. I hope that you guys are surprised. Please go along with it and start laughing. And I hope you don't get afraid. Um,
Please
and
laugh.
yes, please laugh. And I'm going to encourage everybody to unmute a little bit more today and feel. I think what I noticed yesterday is I think everybody's gotten really used to like the webinar format where they can't interact. And with TopkIt, we actually can unmute and we can interact a lot more because it's not in the webinar mode. Like we can unmute and we can interact more than typical webinars. So I'm going to really encourage everybody to unmute today and laugh and get engaged. Um, Yay. Okay, cool. So I'm going to double check that I can screen share. And I wanted to get your opinion on something before we get started at 12:30. So, can I get your opinion on something, guys?
Yes.
Okay,
No,
please.
nope.
I wanted to ask, is this carnival music too creepy? Okay, because this is a real issue. Yesterday, I struggled to find music that wasn't too creepy, but I think this one is good. So, is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, it's cute. Okay, I'll keep it really
it's
low though.
joyful.
Okay, good. That's what I thought too. But I was like, some of them, listen, man, when I was listening, they were real creepy. So I don't know why, and I don't know how, but it was very much like creepy clowns type of music. This is cheerful, this is cute. It kind of reminds me of like Toontown Disney or something. So,
Yeah.
okay, cool. Let me make it a little bit volume less. Go ahead and see if I can turn that all the way down though. Cool. Okay, well, I think we're all good to go. I see that Karen was able to come in. Karen, do you want to test out to see if you can, um, I'll go ahead and stop sharing. Do you want to test to see that you can enter the breakout rooms and record real quick? It looks like you should be able to, but as I mentioned in the chat and as I mentioned to everybody else that once you're in the breakout room, I can't assign you as co-host, as silly as that is. So Karen, if you
So
want to,
should I wait for you to send me over to the breakout room? There we go. Okay.
yeah, and just see if you can record there. Fingers crossed. Again, everything should, I've triple checked the settings, everything should be good. Um, but surprises can still happen. I think Zoom has so many different features now with capabilities that things can still go wrong. But I told everybody in the chat as well, if we didn't get somebody's full recording, I am going to offer them to re-record it with me so that they can actually have their recording uploaded to YouTube if that is something that they want. Were you able to record, Karen?
It looks like it's all good. I got the record
Yay!
option and it saw
Wonderful.
me as co-host. So I will just wait on you to send me over just
Okay.
to be sure that it works, continues
That
to
sounds
work right.
good. That sounds
Yeah.
good. And I know that lots of other individuals mentioned that they were dropping off yesterday. So if that seems to be an issue today, if again, fingers crossed that it won't be, if there seems to be an issue today, if they're screen sharing, make sure they click optimize for screen sharing. And what that does is it just makes the file that they're sharing a little bit lighter so that if they're also receiving video, like the little boxes of us, it's just going to be a little bit more light on their hard drive. So,
Gotcha.
Tina, are you here? Do you want to
I
try
am
to see if you
here. I was
can
in the other meeting room for some reason, and I'm like, "Hi, Charlotte, I'm here waiting." And then I'm like, "Well, maybe I'm supposed to be in this other one." So I clicked it. Who knows with
All
me?
right. Well, let's
Apparently, I
send
have
you
no
to a
brain.
breakout room and see if you can record real quick. Does that sound good?
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
Hello.
Did you get the invitation, Tina? Awesome. Okay, good. Okay, so I think we should be good today, y'all. Yay! Wonderful. Okay, cool.
Yay.
We'll get this party started in about 6 minutes. Again, I'm going to
Woohoo.
start. Welcome. I found some non-creepy clown music. We'll start with a little introduction and an icebreaker, then some fun April Fool's jokes, followed by our top kit, top talent. And unfortunately, our one person who we had from the community did say they couldn't make it this morning. It's okay.
Oh,
But we still have Sue, who's going to give her secret talent, and Tina, who's going to give her secret talent with me as a backup as the secret talents. So we've got
my
some
win knows
fun
what my
ideas.
talent is. Maybe Karen remembers, so you guys got to be quiet.
Okay, yes, and if you know what the talent is, play along, everyone. Don't
Oh.
guess automatically. Unless somebody's really not getting it, in which case you can maybe ask some leading questions, but for the most part, keep it fun. Because I don't think anybody saw my prop that I walked in with today, but I think Efren actually might have. He might have had questions, but he still might not be able to guess what it was. Anybody who knows me and has seen my Facebook might know what it is. I know. Did you see me this morning, Chris?
I've seen you with your prop in action, so
Okay, so anyway, I've got it behind my computer right here, but people have to guess first. All right, everybody. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and share screen again, and we'll go into presenter view. Yay, and Subi's here. Wonderful. Welcome, Subi.
did you get your car, Sue?
No, they have me in a little sardine can.
Is it worse than my car?
It's a brand new car, but it's like the smallest model they had, and I like hit my head getting in, and I
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh,
to my
poor
big
thing.
wide SUV. I'm in like a Pinto.
Oh my
Oh my
gosh. I
gosh.
swear, yeah, that always happens. We can't. Like honestly, we usually have to pay extra for whatever the 6 car version is because we have too many kids. We can't fit them in the Pinto anymore.
I don't even fit in a Pinto. It's just me.
Oh my God. Okay, we have some
I
people in the waiting room. I'm going to send them a message.
wonderful.
Why is my background not staying?
I had that happen to me too. So it was so funny yesterday. I know I told Susie this. I know I told Efren this, but yesterday when my Teams froze up, it like half froze up. So I couldn't turn off my camera. So Tina saw my face just like panicked. I couldn't turn on my sound, so I had to stay silent. But for some reason, I could send reactions and I could chat. Oh, and on top of that, I couldn't leave my breakout room. So it was like half frozen. So some of the features were frozen, some of them weren't. And then finally, I just had to do a hard reset on my actual computer. Just hit the power button like the good old days to finally get it to unfreeze. So
And I
um,
mean, why could Efrons come in my room and record and he wasn't even a co-host? So it was
I made him a
weird.
co-host. I made him a co-host
Okay, thank
as there
you.
was an emergency happening, and I think that
Yeah,
was the last thing I was able to do before I froze up.
good.
So
God,
anyway,
your poor face.
I know.
You were so concerned.
I know. Well, I was frozen literally. So I was trying to do everything I possibly could behind the scenes, and at that point, I was really afraid to turn off the meeting because I was really afraid that with everything else that was going on, it was going to close the entire Zoom. And I was like, well, that's probably the worst thing that can happen is that everybody gets kicked out and nobody comes back. So I decided to wait until the so we started at the 2 o'clock mark. I waited till 2:30 to close everything. And it didn't happen, but it could have. So that's also why I wanted to say this very last thing before we admit everybody. That's also why I didn't update the breakout rooms for the second session because I was frozen. So the idea was to update all the breakout rooms, but because I was sitting there with my face completely frozen, I didn't have any access to breakout rooms. I didn't have any access to get out of the breakout rooms. All I could do was send chat. So anyway, that won't happen today. We're going to be all good today. And if it does, all of you now have backup host access, which I think you had yesterday too. But if you have that backup host access, please, use it. And
You give me
Sugar is,
co-host. Thank you.
yeah, I see that. I was like, I see you. I was like,
I
that's
was
right.
late. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, and actually,
Everybody did a great job yesterday. Thank you all.
yes, thank you so much for your
Welcome.
flexibility and expertise, everybody. I truly appreciate your good nature. Your good nature too, and keeping it light and keeping it funny when something goes wrong. Because inevitably it's going to go wrong. Just hopefully not as wrong.
I don't think anybody noticed anything. I thought it went really smoothly. I mean,
Oh, I
I
love
think the
that.
only thing that I think was we were done early for the keynote, but he came in and he was ready. I know
Yeah.
you were in the background going, "Where is he?" But I don't think those of us that were on the outside, we just saw the happy floating duck, not the crazy pedaling underneath that you
That's
were
it.
doing.
That was the
Paddling
idea.
frantically, but
That was
gliding.
it. That was it. And there's nothing wrong with having more time instead of not enough time. So
Yes. And that was the last thing, Subi. I am going to make you host while you're in the first room because we do have 5 sessions. Okay. So since we do have 5, I'm going to make you host. So if anybody comes back and they say, I can't record, I'm going to make you host. Is that okay?
you
Okay.
betcha.
Just for that main one. Okay, cool. I'm going to let everybody in and we're going to start saying, hey. All right,
Hey.
here we go. Here they come. Yay. Here everybody comes. Woohoo. Welcome, welcome everybody. Step right up to day 2 of the TOPkit Carnival. Welcome, and as everybody comes in, if you could just say a little hi in the chat and where you're joining us from today, we'll get started very soon. So just a little hi in the chat and where you're from. We'd love to hear from you. That's right, yes. Hey from Key West. Hey from Anderson, South Carolina. From Jacksonville, woo! Okay, so that actually reminds me, before we start screen sharing and recording, Joe Lloyd, you shared something today, and I can't tell if it's an April Fool's joke or not. Do you know what I'm
No,
referring
it's
to?
it's it's totally real. The Jaguars are going to play in Orlando in 2027 at the
Okay.
Camping World Stadium. Their stadium is getting renovated, so it's going to be closed for the year, and so they're going to be playing here.
Okay, so Kate, are you a Jaguars fan?
Not really.
Yeah. So I have a funny story. I'm from Jacksonville, born and raised in 904 at least. And the Jaguars came to town when I was in first grade. And it was so excited. We got Jackson DeVille coming to our school. We got so excited and then they just lost. And they lost
Yep.
and they lost and they lost. And I feel like it has a really big reason as to why I'm not very into football.
I was much, much older when we
Yeah.
got the news, and I remember my mom picking me up from school, and she was so excited. We finally got a football team,
Yeah.
and then, as you said, we just keep losing.
Yeah. So I'm actually kind of excited that they're going to be at the Camping World Stadium. I don't think my kids have never gone to a Jags game, but we might actually take them when they're in Orlando. Because honestly, I mean, I'm still deep down, like when the Jags make it to the playoffs, I get really excited. So it's still in there. It's still in there, even if I'm not as hopeful as I was when I was a little kid. All right, everybody. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Can everybody see my screen okay? Give me a little thumbs up if you got it, either in the chat or on everything. Awesome. Thank you so much. And again, welcome. I'm going to go ahead and start my recording because I see we've got some recordings happening, but I'm going to record it to my computer as well. So again, welcome everybody to TOPkit Day 2. This is our little pre-show startup for the day, and it's very wonderful to have you all here at the TOPkit workshop on day 2. So moving right along. Give me 1 second. I'm going to optimize for video sharing. There we go. So now moving right along. Will not move forward. Give me just a second, yo. I very much apologize. The TOPkit Carnival continues. There we go. It started finally.
I think that's the best part about our theme. We can just throw everything to the carnival theme. Crazy chaos.
That's right. And April Fools on top of it.
Charlotte's the star juggler of our circus. Or the plate spinner.
Fantastic.
Remember those? That's what you are.
That's exactly right. All right, I've got it now. It was the media. It was that wonderful media that I had that was making everything have a hard time. So welcome again, everybody. Jinx, everything's now cool. Welcome to TOPkit's Top Talent. We are going to go over some really fun talents in a guessing game that's going to showcase some of our TOPkit team's top talent. And you are going to be the audience for our wonderful show. Followed closely at 1 p.m. to 1:50 by our third time's a charm panel featuring moderator Kevin Corcoran for the future of instructional design with our amazing panelists Paige Jerzak, Whitney Kilgore, Tina Parskell, and Michael Wright. So first, I want to share in the chat, from these choices, we had a little fun icebreaker. What carnival role are you feeling today? And here's your choices. Are you the ringmaster, organized and keeping it all together? The juggler, balancing a lot at once? The performer, energized and ready to engage? The ride operator, steady and just keeping things moving? Or the popcorn vendor, here for the experience and taking it all in? And if you want to come up with your own choice, you're welcome to do that too. So you can go ahead and unmute or share in the chat. It's up to you. But I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, I am the juggler or the plate spinner, as as Tina mentioned. I'm seeing some jugglers. The sideshow lady that sleeps all the time. Oh my gosh, the incredible sleeping woman. That is a sideshow feature. Ronald, totally. I love the ride operator, steady and keeping things moving. I'm seeing a lot of jugglers. Yeah, I feel that definitely. I feel like with a virtual conference, we sometimes have a lot of different things going at once in the background. Like we prioritize this and that at the same time. And there we are, jugglers juggling many different things. I love that. And I also kind of realized once I put popcorn vendor, I also kind of thought of that meme of Michael Jackson in Thriller, like eating the popcorn and watching as an audience. So maybe we're not even necessarily a vendor, but we're just watching with popcorn in the audience. All right. I love this so much. Well, thank you so much for sharing what carnival role you are today. Very excited to see all of us here at our carnival. So, I did want to share, we do, unfortunately, this was very last minute. We do have a last minute change. So due to some new efficiencies, we have decided to streamline today's workshop a bit using AI. And I am actually going to be replaced instead of as a person by an AI powered facilitation model. So I'm just going to give our little demonstration of this kind of urgent last minute change that we're going to be sharing. And here she is. So everybody, please say hello to TOPkit Bot, who's going to be leading the conference today.
Hello, valued educators. I am TOPkit Bot, your fully integrated teaching optimization and preparedness knowledge integration tool. I am here to enhance your learning outcomes, leverage synergistic insights, maximize interactive bandwidth, and utilization of the M-dash. With robust regularity, please prepare to ideate dynamically, collaborate cross-functionally, and activate your full potential as stakeholders in the TOPkit learning ecosystem. To begin upon completion of my presentation, please unmute in an orderly yet spontaneous manner and share a concise yet meaningful reflection that is both authentic and aligned with TOPkit session objectives. If no participants respond within 5 seconds, I will begin randomized engagement selection protocol. Starting with participant, Naz, Charlotte.
Wait a second. Does that make it me? Was everybody able to see that okay?
Sure
Well,
did.
well, I hope you guys know that that was our little April Fools. I'm not being replaced by AI. We're not going to be replaced by a bot. But even if things do ideate in robust learning ecosystem, I hope that you all have a fantastic rest of your day here at the TOPkit workshop and a happy April Fool's Day. Hopefully nothing else terrible happens and we don't get replaced by AI. So continuing onward, we wanted to go into our TOPkit top talent for today because today we're going to be celebrating the hidden and surprising talents of the TOPkit community. So you're going to get ready to guess, laugh, and be amazed, and hopefully be entertained by some of our top talent here with the TOPkit team. So this is going to be in a 20 questions type of method. Today we have 3 participants who have volunteered to be our top talents. You, as attendees, I'm inviting now to unmute, ask yes or no questions only, and let's work together to narrow it down until you figure out what the top talent is. And if you don't guess, our special contestant will reveal it without having anybody guess correctly. The most important rule is to engage, be curious, and have fun. So our first talent, Tina or Sue, who would like to volunteer to go first?
I will happily go first since mine is a dubious talent at best.
Okay, wonderful. So may I ask the first question to get started?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Okay, is this a talent that you have had for a long time?
Yes, it has ever since I was 19 years old.
And in the chat, Rebecca asked, is it carnival related?
Um, Not really, no.
Does anybody else have any other questions to ask? Please feel free to unmute and narrow it down. And Sue asks, does it use a tool?
Can you make money doing it?
I can possibly. And no, it does not use a tool. And Beth Nettle, since I'm 5'10", I'm bigger than a bread box. So yes, my talent is me.
Okay,
Is
so
it
that's 6.
educationally related? Absolutely not.
Not sports related. Okay, okay.
May, if you were reading my comments earlier, no, it is in no way sports related.
Is it creative?
No, it's not creative, and no, it's not singing, and no, I can't touch my tongue to my nose, so nothing facial features whatsoever. But I'm an old woman now, and I've done this since I was about 19.
Is it singing, Tina? Kayla
It is
Cooney
not
asked.
singing. Kayla asked that. There
This is
was singing that helped to prompt this. No, it does not involve acrobatics.
Oh, I was going to ask if you could do the splits.
I can do a split though, and I can do this while doing a split.
Oh my, oh my.
How about that?
Is
I
it
will
public
wait.
speaking?
It is not art related in and of as such. So there's no painting, no sculpture, nothing like that. No, I wish I could yodel. I can do the song from Sound of Music. Public speaking's getting closer. Mime, good one. No, no, I can't do mime. I talk too much. Teaching is my superhero talent, so it's not that. Burping the ABCs. You know what? That's close. So if you do public speaking with a bar trick, you're coming close to what it could be.
I think
If
that we are
somebody
right at
can,
19. We're right at 19 questions.
if somebody
Karaoke.
can burp the ABCs, I hope they join in this
Oh,
talent show and add at the end.
so cherry stem trick, another guess. No. Okay.
And we're all out
So
of guesses. So that's it, Tina. Are you ready
we're
to
good. No,
reveal?
karaoke is singing, and I do karaoke, but no. It's going to be comedy, May. So I'm going to give it up. You guys had some really great questions. So when I was 19, there was a commercial for McDonald's Big Macs on television, and the commercial sang what was inside of them. Does anybody else remember this? Two all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. And then it had, oh, but now you need to do it backwards and you can get a free hamburger. So I learned how to say everything in a Big Mac backwards. But then at the bars, they would want you to do bar tricks, such as burping the ABCs. So I would do it and they go, no, 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 it's too easy. You need to do it backwards in under 30 seconds. So here I go. So, two all beef patty, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. And time me. Bun, seed, sesame, onions, pickles, cheese, lettuce, sauce, special patties, beef all two. Boom. Woohoo.
Well,
Thank you.
color me
Thank you.
impressed.
It's a true talent. It is a dubious at best, but there you go.
Come on.
It's a great way to start April Fools. Thank you. Thank you.
That's incredible, Tina.
I'll see you at Bar Louie's after the conference, and we'll see if somebody else can get a free drink out of it.
That is truly incredible, Tina. But wait, there's more. We do have another one of our very talented TOPkit team who has another talent that we would like you to guess. So, Subi, are you ready to unmute and share as well?
I am. I wonder if I need to give them a clue since it's not
Okay.
necessarily my talent. Can
You
I
can do
share my
that.
screen?
You sure can.
All right. Okay, so hopefully you're meeting Echo Foxtrot.
Cute.
So this is a talent he and I have, so that should help.
Chasing squirrels.
That's his talent, but not one that we have.
Dog agility, Carolyn says.
No.
Dance together, Beth Nettles asks.
No. He actually has all these talents, but it's not the one I'm sharing. Nancy is somewhat close, but it's a little more positive. He does birdwatch. I think I would have to say my Chihuahua, who you will also see in the video of the amazing talent, is definitely a bird watcher. I'm not counting questions. I hope you are, Charlotte.
I am, yes. So we
Okay.
have 6 so far.
Great.
Bird watching, search and rescue, therapy dog.
So I will tell you a little story. He was a military dog. He was in the army and he was paired with an army man. And unfortunately, the soldier was injured. And so he and the dog came back. So his name is Echo Foxtrot. So Echo Foxtrot and I are the ones that have worked on this amazing talent.
Is he a bomb sniffer, Tina
He
asks?
probably is because he sniffs everything that comes in our house, but his actual job was he carried the Wi-Fi antennas in his handy dandy backpack out into the field.
Oh, and Kayla Cooney asks, entertaining at children's hospitals? And that's our 11th question.
No, but we've always talked about all the things that he can do. I'm going away just because I forgot to share sound. Okay, there we go again.
Oh, and I didn't say this one, but Tina said, does he sit up and beg for pets behind the ears?
Aw, he doesn't have to. We give them to him as long as he's close enough to us.
Carolyn asks, does he communicate using those push buttons? And that's number 14.
No. But he has been known to have flying nun ears, I've been told.
Oh, very cute. Do you want to give us another hint, Subi?
Sure. So it's something that he can imitate.
Oh, and may I ask, does he carry groceries?
He does not. He eats groceries, but he does not.
And again, Janae asks, does he talk? Is he talking?
He does talk, but that's not his trick, and we haven't been able to make
Okay.
our Chihuahua understand him, but we cannot.
That's 17. And Beth asks, does he
He
meow?
does not meow, and he does
And
not do bird sounds.
18 bird sounds. 19 imitates a truck sound.
He
And
does
May says,
not
say I love
imitate a
you.
truck tone. And we used to have a husky who said "I love you," but Echo Foxtrot does not.
And that's 20, Sue, so nobody guessed
Okay.
it.
So it originated with him and us kind of adopting him. I mean, getting to know him. But one of the things that he likes to do is play like a dead cockroach. So my daughter and I worked with him. And if you tell him, you can spray him and kill him, and he will end up as a dead cockroach.
Oh my gosh.
So here we go. Let me get it. Oh, uh-oh. Oh, I hate when it does that. All right, make sure I'm all the way up. Here we go. Hey, are you a Florida cockroach? Spray, 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 spray. He's dying cockroach. Right up.
Oh my gosh, that is the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life.
He actually also sleeps like a dead cockroach with all four legs up in the air. It's quite scary when you get up and find him on the floor. But he's an amazing dog, and we're so glad we rescued him.
Oh my goodness. And he is so lucky to have you as a family, Subi. Well, thank you so much for
You're
sharing.
welcome.
That is truly incredible. And for those of you who are just joining us, we are still playing the Top Kits Top Talent game. So we have one more, and this is going to be yours truly. So if you guys would, we're going to just do 10 questions for my secret talent, though, and the talent that I'm sharing. So I'm going to go ahead and share the rules again. And there we are. Can you guess the mystery talent? And go ahead and ask away. See what we've got. For our last and final top talent, who is me, and I'm happy to answer. Oh, not everybody all at once. I can sing, but I'm not going to be singing today because on Zoom that is a disaster. Oh, Kate, good question. How long have I had the talent? It's not yes or no, but I'm going to allow it because we're running short on time. Um, I have had the question, or I've had this talent since I was 18. 18.
Anybody else in your family able to do it?
Yes, actually.
Oh,
And it can be performed in a circus, and it does involve dancing, May. It's a type of dancing, though. Fire dancing. Okay, I can demonstrate it here. Tap dancing, river dance, Irish step dancing, but Beth Nettles may have already known this one. It is involved with belly dancing, and it's not a clown car, but I will give you guys one more hint. It does involve balancing. Twirling a baton, ballet. Great guesses, but not quite. You guys are so close. Should I go ahead and give it to them, guys? What do you think?
I want the show. Give it to him.
Okay, so no, it is totally suitable for work. It is safe. It is a dance instrument, but right behind me here, not a tightrope, I have a sword. It is not sharp, but in the dance that my mom actually taught me, we do Middle Eastern dance, and one of the things that we do is we balance swords on our heads. So what I can do here is I have the sword, and I hope you guys can see me, but I am in a breakout room, so it's a little bit there. And then from here, I can balance the sword on my head. And again, this is something that my mom did in the 70s, and she taught me to do as well. And my youngest daughter now, who is 7, is learning how to do this as well. So that is my top talent. Isn't that fun? Janae is like, whoa. So much fun. You guys were so close. You almost got it. And I love to see everybody else's guesses for everybody else's top talent. And I know that you guys probably have them too. So hopefully when we're in some of our breaks today, you guys can also share any of your top talents that you have as well. So how long did that take to learn? Karen, honestly, to do it well, it took about a year because it's very easy to do it badly. And if you've ever seen dancers perform, you've probably seen them fall off of heads. I can actually balance three swords at once, two on my shoulders and one on my head, or two on the head at the same time. So it does take about a year to learn to do it really well, and you have to have good balance. And Kevin, I look forward to it, to having plastic knives. Well, welcome everybody. We're going to get started with our amazing session really soon. So I wanted to just start with these cute little questions before our official 1 o'clock session. Um, what's a talent that you have that people would never guess if anybody wants to share, or you can keep it secret for later on in the day. And you can also say, if you want to keep that secret, you can say also, what's a talent that you'd love to learn next?
Those are all great questions. I'm actually thinking deeply
Yeah.
about which one I want to answer and how I would answer.
And I really like number three. And I think wanting to learn Jedi mind powers is a great one, Kevin. And I also wanted to say that I think a lot of these hidden talents show up in our work and teaching. Um, Literally, because we all mentioned juggling at the start of this session, right? Juggling and balance. Ha ha ha. And I think that that's a huge part of our many hidden talents as instructional designers. We tend to be Jacks and Jills of many trades. And I think that that can show up a lot in our work and our teaching. And Kate, again, singing is amazing. Cabinet making. Amy, that's incredible. And Michael, wait a second. Can you unmute for a second? You know magic tricks or
No. This is
you
what I
want to learn?
want sorely.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I don't have the sleight of hand to do it at all. Wanting to learn another language, Ronald. Awesome. Playing a straw. I love that. Clay and paint rubber ducks into care. Oh, that's so cool. Then Janae, I really hope that you share some of those during our transition sessions. I would love to see pictures of your ducks. That sounds so cool. And Tina, listen, playing a straw, I don't know if that's going to come up in the panel today, but we can only dream, right?
You know, I'm up for anything and trying it once, especially if it has a new talent.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing for just a second, y'all, so we can go ahead and move on to our next incredible presenters. And I just wanted to make sure, Kevin, you have co-host access before I introduce you. I just want to make sure that you could screen share.
I can, but I don't think we have anything to share.
Okay, great. No slides, living dangerously. I absolutely love it. Is it okay if I give you a quick introduction and then give us a start for the day, just in case anybody's joining us soon?
I just want to make sure that the team is here.
Okay.
So I saw Tina, I think I saw Whitney, I see Paige, I see Michael. Okay.
Okay.
Not that I want to do a romper room for those who are old enough to remember romper room.
Romper Room. Was that on PBS back in the day?
Yes.
I think I might have seen reruns, but it was definitely a rerun by the time I saw it, Kevin.
You've just outed yourself as a millennial or
Oh dear.
Kevin, I was going to say the same thing. She just exposed herself.
I mean, I'm painfully millennial. I'm like right in the
Came out
middle of
the
millennial.
same time as that McDonald's commercial.
I'm afraid.
Well, awesome. Well, welcome everybody. If you're coming to our 1 o'clock session, I just wanted to get everybody once again saying hello in the chat. If you wouldn't mind, if you haven't introduced yourself yet, just say your name and where you're joining us from today in the chat so we can get started shortly with our TOPkit Workshop 2026 Day 2. You did If you're just coming in now, you missed our talent show, but there will be a recording later if anybody wants to watch it. And we hope that throughout the rest of the day, when we have breaks, you're able to share your top talents in our 10-minute break room as well. So welcome, welcome. I see people joining in the chat. Welcome, Liz. Welcome, Carolyn. Welcome, Stacy, Talisa, Sue. I know where you live. Welcome, Beth. I always say I'm from Orlando, but I'm from Winter Springs too, Sue. And hello, Whitney. Hello, Lisa. And hello, Tom. Wonderful. Well, just before our session starts at 1 o'clock, I did want to give everybody a really brief look at our day today. Our day today is going to look a little bit like this. So right after our panel that we're going to have at 1 o'clock, we do have our breakout sessions, which have 5 different sessions from 2 o'clock to 2:30, including clear benchmarks that support student success, designing with insight, balancing AI and human intuition, the power of pause, empowering student engagement, and faculty voices on accessibility. Followed at 2:40 by transforming course development through intentional e-design, the grading blueprint, bring book club vibes to course design, and pathways to ID data literacy. And then finally, at the end of the day today, we're going to go into our Best in Track session with Desiree Henderson from USF that talks about from challenges to insights, leveraging faculty feedback data. And that's going to be the end of our day when we get everything over. But certainly, first up, we have our incredible panel on the future of instructional design. So welcome, welcome. If you're just now joining us, you arrived right on time for day 2 of the TOPkit workshop, and we're so glad that you're here. So again, just say hi in the chat and say where you're joining us from today. And we love seeing all these locations coming in. That's what makes TOPkit so special. So whether you're joining as a ringmaster, a juggler, or just finding your seat under the tent, we invite you to ask questions in the chat, stay curious, and lean into the conversation because what's coming next is no illusion. We're stepping back under the big tent for part 3 of an ongoing TOPkit conversation that we absolutely loved and are so honored to have about the evolving work of instructional design and faculty development. And I'm excited to introduce this session led by Kevin Corcoran by the University of Central Florida. And joining him, we have an incredible panel that's been drawing a crowd since 2024, including Paige Jerzak, Tina Parskell, Michael Wright, and Whitney Kilgore. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and now officially stop sharing my screen and send it on over to Kevin.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Thank you for joining us today. We're so happy to have you.
Well, for those who are just joining, you did miss a talent show. And while the panel did not participate during that particular time, you're in for a treat. Since there's 4 of us on the panel with me moderating, we thought that we would do a rendition of Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. So since we have 4 people, we're about to do a 4-part harmony before we get into this. Okay, it is April 1st, so I mean, moving on. So we're here to talk about humanizing course design in the age of AI. And I'm sure many of you are at a point of AI fatigue and are tired of this conversation and wish it would just go away. But you're going to have to listen to this at least for another 50 minutes. But we're going to take a different twist to this, acknowledging that AI is here to stay. It's embedded in education. What we really want to do is focus on how do we design without losing what makes learning human, and what role does the designer, the human in this, still play going forward? So what I'd love to do is ask the panelists to join me and respond to a few questions here, and then we'll certainly have enough time at the end to field questions from you all. So what I'd love to do is kick it off, and maybe Michael, ask you to kick us off today. And so when we're talking about humanizing design in the age of AI, what does that actually mean in practice? And where do you see the biggest tensions?
Yeah, hello everyone. And Kevin, I'm not sure if I should take that as an honor or be really worried that you wanted to kick it off with me, but I think, this is something I appreciate you asking because it's something I'm focusing on deeply, regularly. I'm fortunate at the university to have an additional role as a faculty where I teach a philosophy course. And I think now more than ever, it has been important for us to ask, for us to explore, for us to know what value lies, what it looks like to be human, and what makes something valuable in that space. And I know that sounds really like existential, big, grand, maybe something that's not sticky there. But I think the reason why I think that's valuable is because there are things that many of us, especially our tech enthusiasts, I tell myself I'm the FIU resident AI enthusiast slash regular panic attack AI guy once he listens to the wrong podcast. Um, I think it's important that we know moving forward, we have to integrate generative AI. We know that it's going to be relevant. We know that it's pervasive. But what the really big question we need to be asking ourselves is, when is it best to use this? And when is it most appropriate not to? And so I think the greatest tension right now is what spaces and areas do we need to carve out to optimize and accelerate what humans can do? And what areas do we preserve for specifically, uniquely human tasks? I like to call it robot work and people work. And I think that's the bigger question, one that's really relevant, and I think that will hit home for all of us IDs and administrators in the room is also, how do I make myself both competitive and relevant in a field and an era where Claude seems to build a human capable task, business ready task every day? And that's something I've got some insight on, but I think the panel and us will share more about that a bit later.
Thank you, Michael. I would love to maybe ask Paige from a college standpoint, how do you see things maybe the same or a little bit different than Michael?
I think there's a lot of similarity. I think ideally, every student has an authentic learning experience wherever they go. And if they can have that and it's well designed, I think that's more important to me than how they get there. So if they use some AI or they don't use AI, that's okay with me. I think it's what is the actual outcome? Did the student learn? Are they able to translate that into something that they can apply, whether it's in other courses or in their personal lives or out in the workforce? So for me, I'm less focused on if AI is included or not. It's a tool, like every other tool we have out there. Like think of cars. Cars are tools. We use them. And sometimes they're problematic and sometimes they're great. AI is the same type of tool. It can be wonderful in terms of easing workload. I know a lot of designers are probably packed to the gills, especially with all the accessibility work that's going on. And so AI might be able to lighten the load. But in the end, you've got to produce a good learning experience. And hopefully you're able to apply um, what makes the faculty member unique. What is their expertise? What is their passion? What is their experience? I'd love to see all of that pulled into courses. And if AI can help, kind of get some of that robot work done that Michael was talking about, make things just a little bit quicker so we can actually focus on something that's real, authentic, and fully contextualized.
I love the comparison to driving a car, and it's really about the intent of the driver behind the wheel or the person behind the prompt. Is their intent to be aggressive on the road or aggressive with the prompt, or are they getting the safe driver discount? But Tina, I would love to hear your perspective from a state or a system perspective.
You bet. This is something we really grapple with in Colorado. I hail from a community college system in Colorado, so we do a lot of things really connected to workforce and industry, and in addition to transfer. And so as we look at policies and practices around AI, it really runs the gamut. One of the examples we have is in talking with industry, we found that industry pockets that we thought would be embracing AI because of privacy and ethical concerns and intellectual property, they actually are very reticent to adopt AI principles, and that is aerospace. So we thought for sure aerospace would be the industry that would be all in on this technology, but they have really locked down some of their environments to keep their learners and their employees from using generative AI tools in their work. Places where we see it emerging is in the creative arts. And that's really exciting to see ideation happening in creative arts, where you would think, what makes us uniquely human? The ability to be creative and have art is a space that occurs. And some of our faculty are using AI in really unique ways to be able to scaffold students in the ideation pieces, not in the actual creation of art, but the ideation piece, which is pretty exciting.
It's interesting. What I've noticed within my own organization is that we have some folks that are more reluctant who are on sort of the arts side, and I'm not even talking about faculty, even on the production side. And then I've found that some of our programmers are a little AI resistant. So it's interesting that dynamic. And Whitney, running a shop like you do with such a production focus and a national footprint, I'd be curious on what your take is and whether or not your design staff is embracing it. Are they reluctant? Your design house folks, are you seeing sort of different takes based on where they sit?
It's a really good question. We have embraced it fully from a leadership perspective, and bringing some of our designers along on that journey has been a process of change management, just like anybody has at their own institution, right? We have that within our own organization. But to get back to the humanizing point, like for our design team at iDesign, humanizing design has never been primarily about like warmth or aesthetics. It's always been about agency. Are learners making real decisions? Are they doing work that matters? Is there a human somewhere in the feedback loop that actually knows them? AI doesn't know the student, right? Like not fully, not the way their teacher or their instructor or their faculty member should, right? So AI doesn't necessarily change that. It just changes how easy it is to fake it. Like we can now generate really beautiful scaffolded learning experiences at scale. Some of them will be genuinely good, but the ones that aren't might feel humanized on the surface, but remove the conditions underneath that make learning work. And that's the tension I think I worry about the most. Like the biggest risk isn't that AI replaces instructional designers. Like it's that old adage where they said teachers that teach with technology will be replaced or will replace those who don't, right? It's kind of that moment for all of us with AI. AI can optimize for the signals of learning rather than learning itself, right? We can actually be looking for completion rates, response times, sentiment scores. Those things matter, but they're not the goal. The goal is that a nurse practitioner makes the best possible decision in a difficult, critical moment, right? How do they apply what they know? And so the goal is that a first generation student might finish what they started and graduate with something real that opens a door for them, right? And AI belongs in that work. We want to bring that to bear, but it has to be designed in, not layered on. And so we still value the relationship with the faculty. We think that's really central to what an instructional designer does and how we create an experience for students that's really important and that's a game changer. I mean, really, the work that we all do is because we know we're changing students' lives, right? And so now we have tools that are powerful enough that we can actually do some of the things we've only dreamt of in the past, right? And what we want to do is actually make courses more human, and using AI to do, like Michael said, alleviate some of the administrivia and allow the humans to engage with each other more fully. That's really where I think the magic is going to happen from a humanizing perspective. And we are all in on that.
Well, let me expand on that and maybe ask Paige to pick it up from here. But so as we're talking about, and I talked about this at the beginning, is that we're all experiencing AI fatigue to some extent. But the more and more that we explore it, the more and more AI is becoming more mature and rapidly and can do more. And we're seeing just every potential vendor coming back with an AI solution that can generate content. But from a structural designer standpoint and thinking about a value of instructional design, how do we help think through the question of what matters most, especially to learners, institutions, and the workforce when it comes to use of AI?
Every question we ask about AI, I feel has the qualifier, it depends. It really depends on what your aim is. What is you're trying to do? What are you trying to learn? What are you trying to, be able to accomplish? I think there's so many directions to move in, depending on what you really want to do with AI. So I think it's for me, the content questions really tricky because for us, content really should be coming from the faculty member. We're not going to be generating content for you. We want you to tell us what the content is. And for some of our faculty members, they can do it better and faster than AI. The stuff that AI creates, they would spend more time wordsmithing and try to, kind of curate than they if they literally sat down and just started typing things out. So I think, AI can generate a lot of things. It could generate content. It can generate your assessments. It can do all kinds of things. I think it goes back to what are your outcomes and what do you want the learning experience to be? And if you're a student, how are you making that connection with your faculty member, with the content, with the other students, bringing all of that together? So for me, I think it's got to come back to that bedrock aspect of design, because it's very easy to throw something together. It's harder to make it work.
And Tina, we're on the same wavelength because I was going to you next. Please.
I don't mean to be the obnoxious pick me, but I have a great example. I'm actually off-site right now, and I'm at an organization, and we're working on creating a set of national competencies for financial education. And they brought in Charla Long from CBIN. Many of you may know her. And I saw as a participant, AI in action. So this was the first group of SMEs, Industry Experts Association, higher education reps. Everyone embraced the really deliberate and intentional use of AI. So we use the tools to accelerate brainstorming, creating themes, a little bit of wordsmithing, thinking through different kind of conceptual models. It was really a great example of how AI can, and I love what Michael says in terms of, robotize. I don't think that was the word he used because I don't believe that's even a word. But really how to make it, automate what needs to be automated, but really tap into the creative and intellectual power of the folks in the room. We got so much farther in one day that any non-AI enabled group would have taken us 3 days to do. So it was pretty powerful to see that process in action.
Whitney, I want to come back to you because you mentioned about the nursing practitioners and AI in there. And so I guess I want to sort of take a tangent off this question is that there's so much emphasis on AI literacy, AI competency for students. And I guess it really depends on the industry or the students, but how do we balance this pressure for AI skills to be included in curriculum for a potential or assumed workforce need versus what the learner actually needs within the program? And Michael, be prepared. You're coming up last.
Hopefully you can clean up the mess I make, Michael. So what I wanted to share is a couple of weeks ago, I was at the University of Michigan. James Devaney and the Center for Academic Innovation held an AI summit there on campus. And they brought in leaders from all these big AI firms, right? So we heard from the healthcare guy at Microsoft, the OpenAI guy, the gal from Grammarly that's now called Superhuman. I mean, it was just a whole lot of conversations about what to expect in the future. And then they had a student panel. And I listened as a student said, back in my day, which was super cute. But anyhow, she was saying we didn't have AI when I was in middle school, elementary school. I've never learned how to use it. And I'm being told in some classes I can, in some classes I can't. And oh, by the way, you're using AI detectors on things I turn in, and I'm having my integrity questioned when I don't really know what the rules are. And is there a policy? And will I actually be in trouble? What is this? Can you guys just all get on the same page? And I just applauded. I was like, thank you so much. I'm hearing the same thing from my own daughter. There's got to be a path forward where we're very clear and intentional with students and help set them up for success, not just today, but designing learning experiences that prepare them for our future and not their future, not our past, right? Like there's some work to be done here. Um, I also think students, just from conversations with them, they value learning the things they're going to use in the world of work. So earlier this week, oh, it's only Wednesday, on Monday, I was at the AACN conference talking to a bunch of nurses, and you brought up the DNP. Well, there's actually, because of HIPAA, they have some things that are super restricted relative to AI, right? So there are fields, and then I saw that video that said in 18 months to 24 months came from the Microsoft head, that all white collar jobs are going to be gone, right? All the doom and gloom stuff, right? I don't think that's the case, but I do think there's an opportunity to kind of rethink how we prepare students for the future, get them set up for success, and give them the skills they need. We talk a lot about tech literacy. We've been talking about Microsoft Word and teaching students how to use all these tools for 20 years, right? We should be teaching students how to use AI in a productive fashion. And then I'll end with a confession, because you talked about AI fatigue earlier. Sorry, I'm all over the place. A little scatterbrained this morning. But AI fatigue in March, which was just a month ago, I did a panel on a WCET closer conversation that wasn't recorded. So here we go. This is for the whole world to hear. And I said, this was right before Claude Cowork came out. And I said, I am exhausted by people telling me I can do more with AI. All I can do is edit my email or edit a paper or change up some language or search for things differently. And then Cowork came out, and I ate my words. I asked Cowork to teach me how to use Cowork, and I had it create a notebook LM for me in all the use cases for Cowork around the things that I enjoy doing. And I use personal stuff just to help me understand how it worked. It was totally mind-blowing. So when we think about content in the future, content is no longer king, right? Anything can be generated on the fly. We can create knowledge bases with the content the faculty have. It's the experience layer that we put over top that I think is what's going to keep all of us relevant in the instructional design field. End of rant. Off to you, Michael. Clean it up. Bring us home.
Kevin, am I just supposed to? I'm so worried that's a lot. That's a lot of pressure on here.
You can handle it.
Yeah, man. One, following up brilliance is never the way you want to go. I've got some points that I think I want to address that you brought up previously. I think one question that you brought up, in my office, we have a lot of windows, and my team and I regularly, I'll come in and I'll just say, nobody wants to learn anymore. I need a tub of ice cream. What is going on in learning? And so we write on the wall, we write answers. We just try to do a lot of thinking. And there's one thing we wrote on one of the walls, and I actually pulled up the picture so I could read it to you all, where I asked my team, okay, in an era of generative AI, to a student, what do I tell my faculty? What do I say to educators? Why are we here? And through some back and forth, I think we came up with two things. Our great focus is we need to cultivate an ecosystem where learners can care about their work that they do with integrity. And then the responsibility of an educator is to provide motivation, value, and opportunity. I think it is never been more important, never been more relevant than now, that all of those problems that we already had in online learning in higher ed, look, and there were problems before. Gen AI did not come in and bring a new problem. It exacerbated the problems that we have. Hot take. I have two hot takes in this rant of my own. The first is generative AI is not the problem. Scale is the problem, everyone. And it's been a problem for a very long time. All Gen AI has done is said, we cannot push this off to the side anymore. We need to address this now. So scale is that massive problem. I also think it can be very dangerous if we approach generative AI as just a tool. Now, hear me out. I'm not saying that I don't use it like a tool, but I think it's important to see that, people. I'm introducing my son to R&B. He's almost 2 years old, and it is very important to me that he knows what his dad's excellent music taste sounds like. I created a Spotify playlist for him, and we've been listening to it for the last 2.5 weeks. I did a little dive because I was like, maybe I want to take him to his first concert to one of these new R&B artists. I found out at the end of the day that an overwhelming majority of the artists on that playlist were AI tools. They were AI art. They were not real people. I don't know where it went from inception to. I am listening to AI make music that I think is beautiful, and I'm sharing with my 2-year-old. And what that brought me to, what that realization is, and it keeps on compounding, is I think it's dangerous if we look at generative AI as just a tool. And the reason that I think like that is because if you look at how OpenAI or Anthropic talks about these generative AI models, they don't talk about them just as tools. Claude has a constitution. We covered it in one of my philosophy courses about its morality, how it approaches, how it works, how it should communicate with you. OpenAI's goal is not to build a really good AI tool to help us with our emails. It's to create artificial general intelligence. And the reason that I bring that concept up, and I bring the example of listening to music and being in love with music and sharing it with your child, is because if we keep on looking at these things as just tools, we miss the problem that they are surfacing and the opportunity that they are creating for us to fill in a gap that we should have been filling in. And that is to develop, grow, and highlight the importance and the value of human moments, of human touch, of human ability, the ability to look to your students and say, hey, you're taking this course. It's not just to get a job. You're taking this course to learn the skills to be healthier, more successful, and honestly, to not only make money to feed your family, but to learn how to learn. I'm a huge, huge, huge advocate of stop saying we need to learn the 21st century skill of critical thinking. Critical thinking has always been important. But y'all, we lost that battle with social media most recently. What generative AI is doing right now that is being really, really problematic for us is foundational knowledge. It has made it so easy to outsource the component of foundational. Why learn this? Why even have these small, why learn the math behind this? Why learn the dates? Why have any of those things be relevant to me? We need to get that message very clear. And the way we do that is by saying, hey, generative AI is not just this tool. They're trying to make a human brain. And when I see that, I need to then shift off of this is just teaching them how to use it and saying, well, what is this bringing up that we need to reshift priorities? We need to teach them why learning how to learn is important. We need to advocate why foundational knowledge is valuable, why going through this with integrity can be important, how sitting in my class and spending 3 hours on perusal in Harmonize, on Yellow Dig, is advantageous to you, your future goals, and the communities that you want to serve. And so I'm a huge advocate of we need to show and let students kind of crash against and work with generative AI. But more than that, we need to articulate and address those things that we knew were problematic in learning already. Personalized learning, why you're here, and what do you do with this human connection? How is and why is this valuable? I'm sorry.
I feel like I was taken to the hill and back. No, but positive friction. And to Charlotte's point, learning how to learn is important. I want to maybe make you feel better, Michael. I will give a quick story myself, is that I've been working with one of the AI prompts to sort of work through some strategic thinking. And as I'm having this dialogue, it is telling me, excellent point. I'll add that note. This is the exact right time to ask that question. And so my head keeps getting inflated as I'm having these conversations. And then I actually bring a printout to one of my coworkers and go, this is not practical at all. So
Kevin, I think about that for relationships. Imagine our children growing up and being like, "You're not listening to me. You're like pushing back. You're not telling me I'm." That that is okay. Maybe I'm the gloom and doom person. I just realized what my role on the panel is. My bad.
well, let me build on this with a slight turn. And Tina, I'm going to ask you to sort of be prepped for this. But building on what Michael and Whitney just shared, we obviously have AI that is developing at this rapid pace, and what we can do today is far different than what we could do just 6 months ago. But at the core here, we still have issues around trust, whether that's data integrity, accessibility, whatever the case might be. Understanding that we still want faculty to sort of explore, embrace AI in the right framing, how do instructional designers help put guardrails in place, even though we don't know necessarily, to go back to the road metaphor, where the road's heading or if it's fully paved yet?
I think I'm going to answer that a little differently than maybe you're hoping. One of the things, Michael, one of your things made me think about the role of instructional designer and how we need to shift our not only our approaches, but really tap into the dynamic nature of how we understand what we understand learning science to be. I think we spend so much time thinking about kind of knowledge acquisition, skill development, etc. And we are not thinking enough about the metacognitive and emotional parts of learning, right? And I think as learning designers, that is kind of I think our call to action is we need to rethink our own discipline as learning designers because it's going to require us to develop a whole different skill set than what we've been taught, what we have taught in the past. So in terms of guardrails, I do think the time is here for us to think creatively about policies. You think about the hockey metaphor of, skate to where the puck's going to be. I think there's no way we're going to keep up with the evolution of AI. And so we need to think about what are the structures we need to put in place to prepare us for the dynamism of the evolution of this technology, because as soon as the ink dries, not that anyone prints anything anymore, but as soon as the ink dries on our policies, the world shifts. So we need to think more structurally about having those critical conversations around what it means to act and interact with knowledge and information and our work in authentic and with integrity. So I think in order to, rather than taking a technology or a policy solution, we need to go take a step back and really think about the nature of what are the paradigms we put in place around trust and those critical conversations that need to happen. But I'm feeling kind of philosophical today, so my lawyers may have different answers to that question, but I do think that I think it's more around the structures we need to put in place to have those meaningful conversations at scale.
If I oversimplify this, is this going back to we have to Maslow before we bloom? All right.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Yeah.
So, Michael, I'm going to give you an opportunity to come back on the stage again and follow up Tina. Do you have anything that you want to add? You seem to have a reaction, especially when we started talking about metacognition.
Oh, I mean, you have no idea how, when we're talking about what are the key struggles for our learners, especially our online learners or adult learners. It is the value of that metacognition, that thinking about your thinking why, diving deeper into it. And I love being a learning science nerd because you start saying, "Oh, this is the problem." You're like, "Oh my gosh, there's research on this. Oh my gosh, isn't that what Socrates and Plato were talking about in the at the beginning of all this regard? Isn't that why we teach the Socratic method? Isn't this the foundation for all of those components?" Which it just echoes again and again, right? These are problems we knew we already had. Generative AI is just exacerbating it. I will say, if we're talking about data and privacy concerns as well, and what the ID's role is there, I need to say something to the IDs in the room that I hope will free you all on this. I don't think that's our battle, and I don't think we're going to win that. I think our DOITs need to get together and need to be real uncomfortable and make some policies and draw some lines. And then our faculty, our students, and just life are going to push those boundaries and we're going to move that mark. I think it's very difficult for our teams, for an instructional designer, to be able to shift in that space and place, especially when like four of us like Copilot and the rest of us are using every other LLM out there. So I do think that's valid. I want to say if your assignments, if your engagement with learning is not eliciting and explicitly telling learners why metacognition is helpful to them, then we are absolutely missing the mark. One thing I talk to my students about the value of higher education now is I'm like, look, I can throw the data out there, right? What people earn, unemployment rates, even though now it's getting a little tricky, especially with certain groups. The one point that I always go back to is suicide rates as a result or in correlation to higher education experience. That says something bigger here. What is that value? It's not just that smart people, are not are not as in trouble as others are in this space. It's there's something valuable about this higher ed experience. And outsourcing that to generative AI is not the answer.
Whitney, would you care to follow up after Michael now?
Oh, that is challenging, isn't it? I want to go back to Tina's thought, and I may have to use this again, skate to where the puck is going to be. I find that line really poignant. I think when we talk about like trust and data, going back to your converse or your question, Kevin, the guardrails conversation around design and trying to think about how we protect whatever that protection might be, right? I think that gets framed as innovation versus safety, right? And I kind of reject that framing. I feel like the institutions that are moving the fastest on AI are not the ones that are ignoring risk. They're actually the ones that have done the work to understand where the real risks are so they can move confidently. And so that just kind of helps me sleep at night a little bit too. Because I talked to a provost recently who said we formed a committee and we're thinking about getting a sandbox. And I thought, ooh, this is not 2022. What? But moving slow to then go fast does make sense, right? So like there is some thoughtfulness to some of this that really matters. And there are areas where AI is being kind of kept out of conversations or technologies. So that's interesting. When we think about the current issue around accessibility, that's a non-negotiable. Somebody brought up earlier that we could use AI to kind of offload some of that work, make that go faster. I think that was you, Paige. I think that's a really helpful use case, right? To be able to make sure that we're moving the needle on that. For larger institutions, I think that deadline is in like 23 days, right? So it is right around the corner. Smaller institutions, you have one more year in order to make sure everything's accessibly compliant. The piece around that accessibility bit is I talked to somebody from the Office of Civil Liberties not terribly long ago. She's not there anymore, but she's an attorney. She said, as soon as that date comes, guarantee there'll be stacks of lawsuits, right? And that's when we tend to listen. So I go back to that skate to where the puck is going to be. If we had been doing that all along, we would have gotten to accessibility faster, right? Like, but we're still struggling there, right? I also think there's this issue of academic integrity, right? That's probably one of the most interesting conversations happening right now around AI, because faculty genuinely are concerned that students are using AI to shortcut their learning experience. There's something productive in the brain when you struggle, right? That productive struggle is where the learning happens. But I think, we need to move from the question, how do we detect AI use, and start thinking about how we design so that AI is either irrelevant or visible. And that's a design challenge worth taking on, right? We've talked about authentic assessment, oral defenses, iterative portfolio work, tasks that are embedded in like clinical or community contexts so that we get to better pedagogy, right? So that's really critical to our work going forward. And I think that's exactly what instructional designers need to be thinking about and focused on when it comes to kind of trust and where we're headed in this space.
Would you, I'm just curious, before Paige, you close us out, what about the phrase measure what matters? Do you feel that sometimes this whole academic integrity sort of conflates the use of AI and saying, oh, if you use AI, it's cheating across the board, but that's in the way that you're using AI, it may not be a measurable part of what this learning experience is. Do we have to talk between designer and faculty about focusing on what matters?
Yeah, I think that's part of the heart of the conversation between the ID and the faculty member regularly. I think one of my favorite sessions at the first UCF AI conference was a faculty member, or no, maybe it was somebody in the UCF team who was talking about a course they teach. And if you're here, let me know, because I'm a fangirl of your session. You were doing a thing where the students were evaluating the various Marvel characters and having AI write kind of how the characters were interplaying with one another. And then there were citations included that AI generated as they wrote this like character brief. And then the students were then asked to go to EBSCOhost and go determine whether or not those resources were in the databases, right? Were actual or hallucinations, right? And so I thought, what a wonderful way to get novice folks who haven't used AI before to leverage AI and use it in a way that's like really positive, to like be inquisitive, right? I think the note for all instructional designers is part of the voodoo that you do so well is you stay curious, right? We're the question askers. We're the people that help those that know something so deeply that they forget that others don't know how to get to that depth, how to unpack the stair steps, right? To create the scaffolding to help the learner get to that ultimate goal of understanding what they need to do, what they need to know, that foundational piece that Michael was talking about, so that they can climb the ladder and go higher, or climb down the ladder and go deeper, maybe into the content area. So yeah.
Excellent. So Paige, you'll have the last word on this topic.
I doubt that. I think if I'm going back to your question about guardrails, we can have guardrails that are imposed from the outside. So federal, guidelines for things like accessibility and regular and substantive interaction. We can have guidelines that are set by our institutions, like AI policy. I think at the heart of this has to be a conversation about transparency. So whatever data you're using, whatever reference set, whatever content, whatever tool, whatever it is that you're doing, it should be obvious to people what you have done and what's been done for you. Because I think that's really the key in kind of highlighting this kind of juxtaposition, if you will. So I think if we are more transparent, then it's going to hopefully provide greater clarity as to what we think is important. And when is it that we're willing to offload things to AI and when are we not? I was looking at the Chronicle, I think maybe yesterday or today, and they were talking about the 3-year bachelor degree. Like that's the hot topic at the moment. And somebody in the article said, well, 4-year degrees are for faculty, they're not for students. Like the reason why we have 4-year degrees is because faculty came together and decided that a degree needed to be 4 years. And I thought, like, wow, that's a really wild way to think about higher ed. That you're only taking these courses because a bunch of people got together and decided you had to. And I think it's speaking to maybe some of that transparency and clarity and the importance of learning. What is it that you're here to learn? What is it that we can give you that makes it possible for you to continue to learn after you're with us? And I think that's where, some of the conversation ties back to what Michael was talking about and Whitney, that if we're talking about metacognition, if we're talking about being able to understand how you learn, then we're going to be able to help direct you in the future to learn better, to learn more, to do things in a way that's more helpful for you. So you're not feeling like you're at the mercy of experts, if you will. You need to have the base foundational skills, right? The knowledge, because if not, you can't decide if something is hallucinated or not. You're not going to be able to figure that out. And I think for me, the thing I think that's kind of lurking in the background is that higher ed becomes just job training. And if it did, like, what are we doing if that's all we're supposed to do is train you to do some kind of task? Um, so I feel for me, higher ed needs to maybe spend a little bit more time clarifying itself, maybe sitting down thinking about like what is it that we really need to do for our students and our communities. Because we have a lot of students out there and a lot of people in general who have stopped trusting higher ed. They've stopped thinking I need a degree for anything. I'm just going to go get job training. Why would I spend time in college? I think all of those things are connected.
I absolutely agree. We just mentioned earlier about Claude and having it be able to teach you skills and talent. And we have pressures against higher ed now between, alternate credential routes and what have you. But we've covered a lot in this session. And I don't know that we're going to cover much more in a lot of time, but I did want to ask one last question to the panelists and then leave a few minutes left for questions. As we're talking about when should we use AI, under what circumstances, what sacrifices are we doing? Are we ensuring that we're doing it with the right intent and the right situation? Specifically to instructional designers, in your opinion, what design practice do we need to unlearn because of AI? And Whitney, I'm going to let you go first, or ask you to go first.
Okay. I think we have to unlearn designing for compliance instead of designing for learning. Because we've spent decades building courses to get checked against rubrics and earn certification. Some of that matters. Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge QM fan. I love the SUNY Oscar rubric. But a lot of this has been taught to us to optimize for boxes that get checked instead of outcomes. And it's really important that we get alignment right and we look at the experience we design and that we make sure that what we're creating for students has agency for them to be able to apply what they're learning. AI is going to make it easy to produce courses that check every box and teach nothing. So what we have to do is be the ones who won't let that happen.
If I could hit 100% agree, I would do that right this second. Tina, last comments?
Yeah, I think one of the things that instructional designers could or relearn is to broaden our aperture and look more away from necessarily course and lessons, but think about things more holistically and programmatically. I have my team getting more deeply engaged with faculty as they're ideating on programs. So Paige, your comment about the reduced credit hour bachelors, but we're working more on how do we embed those different credentials, the micro credentials, how do we do apprenticeship or cooperative learning? And the instructional design lens adds so much value to that. So to really broaden what we think about in terms of learning, the whole learning experience, including co-curricular, I think instructional designers have much strength in that area and be able to bring a lot to the table. So I invite you all to be nosy and engage with your faculty kind of maybe beyond your swim lane. I'm a
Excellent.
troublemaker today, aren't I?
That's the reason why we invite you. Paige, last thoughts?
I think, especially in higher ed, we think in terms of courses and credit hours, and we've been doing that for eons. So I think if we could think about learning in slightly different formats or buckets or whatever you want to call it, I think that would be helpful because I think we keep thinking of it's a 15-week course or semester-long course, and then we divide it slightly differently if it's an 8-week. Like we think in terms of the credit hour rather than thinking about what the learning actually takes. And I think that's going to be a continuous challenge, especially as we move more towards things like micro credentials. And I would say we also need to make sure that people are able to apply their learning. So just being able to, like, I went through a course and I took a test and I passed. Okay. But does that mean you actually understand?
Absolutely. Michael, I've seen the pained look on your face while you were preparing for this, so I'm waiting with great anticipation.
No, I think you're just gonna get paid back. I one incredible. Everyone. I thought I had an idea, and then of course, Paige, Whitney, Tina, you all said it. And I mean, Kevin, what an incredible question. I think what I'm gonna have to go to is I'm really big on design thinking. Like I read that book and the marketing caught me. Like I'm fully submitted. I'm subscribed. I'm about it. And I think something that we need to unlearn is brilliant people, efficient people, people who are measured by results. We go to ideate very fast. And what we need to spend more time on than ever before is that empathize and that define stage of design thinking. Because we need to be creating courses that our faculty enjoy logging in and grading the assignments, and that our students understand why they're learning and why learning it, maybe the more academic integrity route is valuable to their interest, however selfish those may be, and their future. I think that's the big thing. We need to focus on those two. And I think something else is we recently read a book. If you were in TOPkit day one, there was a phenomenal session from some IDs from a school at FIU in Miami, talking about unreasonable hospitality. I think we need to not get back. I think we need to redefine that this needs to be the collaboration between instructional designer and faculty, instructional designer and students needs to be one where we welcome folks in to be transformed. I want to give a quick little example of this in my course. I'm teaching, it's a hybrid course. There's just one student who says nothing to me ever. I don't think he's paying attention. He doesn't even give me that like head nod when I have a really good, lecture point. But he sent me an email during spring break and said, Professor, my girlfriend goes to FSU and she wants to attend class this week. Is it okay? I talk about your class all the time, and she does not believe that we're doing the types of things that we're doing. And why I share that with you all is because we should be creating learning experiences for our faculty and our students that make them want to invite someone else into the learning journey. And if that is our goal, if that's how we start define and empathize, if that's where we start, then we have responded to generative AI's biggest threat to our work, to what we're supposed to do.
That was fantastic. Now, I know we're at time, and I'm going to do a quick head check. If the panelists wouldn't mind staying maybe 2 minutes longer, if folks have questions, I know that we're going to go into a break, but I would love for everybody to join me in thanking the panelists. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I do. I learn something new each year from each one of these panelists, and I enjoy so much talking with them and hope that we have year 4. Charlotte, do you need to interject to direct traffic?
Yeah, so you guys are truly the best. And Subi is actually going to take over for our breaks as I'm going to be moderating the next session. But truly, I mean what I say in the chat. That was 45 minutes that felt like an hour and a half, but I was on every single minute of it. Truly, this is such a great conversation. Every single year you guys come back, you make everybody think, and I really do think that there's going to be continued conversation because there always is. Kevin, is there going to be a good place that people can reach out to our panelists if there's some conversation that can't be answered today or questions that can't be answered today?
If Charlotte, if you wouldn't mind being the point person, we could redirect whatever questions you field to the group and we will get back as soon as we can.
You heard it from Kevin, everybody. Email topkit@ucf.org. Thank you again so much, everybody, for all of your incredible insights. And as Kevin mentioned, we are going to open our breakout rooms now, but I think that our panelists are going to stick around in this main room if you want to stay back for maybe 7 minutes and ask any super burning questions. But for right now, I'm going to hand it over to Subi because our breakout rooms did just open.
Thank you, Charlotte, Kevin, and all the panelists. I'm so energized. It just gets my blood pumping. So it's a wonderful thing to start the afternoon.
Hello. How are you, Liz?
I'm this is my first Top Kit, so I'm a
Oh, well, yay.
yeah.
Welcome, welcome, and congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well,
Oof.
oh, this will be fun. It'll be fun for you. It'll be great. It'll be the quickest 30 minutes ever. So it's a very supportive group. And I'm here to help you in any way I can. So we got this. No worries.
We got
So.
this. Oh, good, good. That makes me feel a little bit better.
Yes, of course, of course. And is there someone presenting with you?
There was,
Okay.
unfortunately, due to actually some things that are going on at our university at the moment, she wasn't
Okay.
able to be with me today. She let me
Okay.
know that this morning, but that's
Okay.
okay. That's okay.
You got it.
I got it. It's
You
okay. I
got it.
actually did it by myself yesterday for our
Okay.
so I'm
Oh,
okay.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Um, would you like me? I can private message you like at 10 minutes, to let you know you got 10 minutes left in the presentation, or if you've got this down and don't need it, that's fine too.
Oh, no, absolutely. That
Okay.
would actually be extremely, extremely helpful.
Okay.
I do have a game at the end, so I
Okay.
want to make sure that I have certain time for that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be great.
Great.
Yeah.
I'll do 10 minutes and like 5 minutes, and then we'll watch the chat for you. So no problem with that. So
Oh,
perfect.
good, good, good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Yay.
And I'll
Oh,
just
good.
introduce you and then start the recording, and you'll be off and running. You got this.
I got this. I got this. I'm around peers, right? Around other.
Yes, it's a very, very supportive group. So you'll be great, you
Oh,
know.
good. Oh, good. Yeah.
Then you'll have it under your belt.
Yes. 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 I actually did this for yesterday, some faculty members. So it was a different crowd. So it was kind
Okay.
of
All
interesting.
right.
So we'll see how instructional
Yeah.
designers look at it a little bit more.
Yeah, and usually we sometimes get a mix of both. So you'll be okay. We have some faculty presenting too. So
Oh, good.
yeah, so
Oh,
so
good.
don't worry. We TopKit usually runs the gamut of people. So
That's true. That's true.
yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah. So that is perfect. So, and we got about 4 minutes left. So, we might wait a minute or so because I know they were taking questions um, on the panel. So we'll just see how it goes.
okay.
Although I'll let people in, so no problem.
Yeah, I'll share my screen so
Yeah,
they
yeah,
could
yeah.
see at least what it is.
Perfect.
Is that good?
It's coming. There's perfect.
Perfect. Yay, that's good to
Yeah.
hear. Okay.
If I put it in the
Yay.
chat, it just goes to everyone, so it doesn't really make sense. So I'm like, okay. All right. Everybody is in this one.
Everybody's here.
Yeah,
Everybody's
like,
here.
okay.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's exciting. I'm excited. I'm
Well, you
excited.
should be. It's a good group. And you are, if you're just joining us, you are in the right place, designing clear academic benchmarks that support student success. And we will begin in about 3 minutes. So just hang out and we'll start soon.
Yeah, it's hard to come off of that panel.
I
Yeah. I
know
know.
that's the only thing is following something like that. You're like, oh my goodness. But
It's like, okay, here we go.
yeah, I didn't prepare for this.
Wait, I don't have AI in it, but AI
Right.
helped to
That
make
hey,
it.
that might be good. That might be good.
No, yeah. That's true. That's very true. I didn't even think about that. But
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just like cleansing the palate a little bit. It's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes. Step away, go back to the
Right.
ABCs of it. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it was a great panel though, and
Oh,
it was
that's why we keep having them back every year. They do not disappoint. They just play off each other so well, and everything's very insightful. I don't know how they do it. So, yeah, it's marvelous.
yeah, it really I just I learned so much already.
Right.
Like I
And
didn't.
then
Mhm.
our third day has a student panel. So that is really fantastic too. So look forward to that on day 3.
Yeah, for sure. This whole experience has been eye-opening. When my course director actually shared with me about TOPkit, it was
Mm-hmm.
I was because I'm an instructional design master student,
Oh,
and
nice.
she shared about it. She was actually she said she used to teach at UCF. That's how she
Oh,
originally heard about it. And I was so intrigued. Like the name alone just makes you want to search about it, learn a little bit more about it. Like,
yeah,
wait,
yeah.
hold on. Like, what is this more? Tell me more about this just by the
Right.
name.
Right.
So as I dug a little bit deeper, it really, and after having panels like that and learning a little bit more, even yesterday's
Right.
opening was
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. So,
y-
yay.
yay,
All right,
for
I
sure.
think we're at 2 o'clock. Welcome everyone. If you're just coming in off of the panel, we welcome you. My name is Susan Spraker. I'm an instructional designer at University of Central Florida, and I'm here to introduce as I let people in. Liz here from Full Sail and her presentation designing clear academic benchmarks that support student success. Liz, I'm going to hit the record and you can take it away.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that welcome and that warm introduction. Welcome, everyone. As she said, my name is Elizabeth or Liz Evans, Primiano Evans. I am an academic advisor at Full Sail University. So in the next 30 minutes, we're going to talk about something that affects every single student that we work with. Honestly, it's something I wish I had handed to me as far as framework for students a lot earlier in my career. So we're going to talk a little bit about academic benchmarks and more specifically why we design them and what can make or break students' ability to succeed. I will say this, we do have a Kahoot game at the very end if we make sure we have enough time for it. So go ahead and get your phones ready, get ready to go ahead and get ready for that QR code, or excuse me, team code at the end. Um, so here's what we're doing today. I want to be up front. This is going to be a very interactive session. As I said, by the end of the 30 minutes together, we're going to be able to recognize what makes a benchmark versus making it confusing. We're going to talk a little bit about redesigning at least one benchmark using very simple framework. And then we're going to apply that thinking immediately that we can in our own course and design work. And as I mentioned before, we are definitely going to go ahead live with a Kahoot game. Um, and let's go ahead and begin. So, quick note about me, as I mentioned before, I am an academic advisor at Full Sail University. I am currently studying my master's in instructional design and technology. That was the basis, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, about this topic. I talk to hundreds of students each day, advising them on their benchmarks, where they stand. And one thing I kept on hearing over was, I don't know what's expected of me. That's one sentence that is one thing that I wanted to learn. How do we fix that? You know, how do we design or create or make that easier for them? And I think that's something for us as an instructional designers, we hear a lot too, is how do we make that benchmark more visible or seen? So what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to start off with something fun. So what I want you to do is I want you to look at these 5 images on the screen: a compass, a roadmap, a ladder, and a checklist, and a finish line. And here is your task. I want you to pick one image and tell me essentially you could drop it in the chat, or you can come off of mute. That's perfectly okay. On how these connect with academic benchmarks. I'll give you about a minute. Okay. So for me, I would definitely say the roadmap is 100% one that sticks out the most in the sense of, because with benchmarks, and they're not linear, right? Which is why I also found it funny that a ladder is one of the items that you can choose. But the fact that it's never, especially when explaining it to students, it's like you try to hit one notion, or you try to hit one idea that clicks with them when definitely describing the benchmark. So I would definitely go with the roadmap for me. Does anybody want to share or drop it in the chat which one that they chose?
I would. Hi, good afternoon. I wrote it in the chat, but as a former athlete and also as a coach, the finish line, like a completion of something. You know, you start something at start a chapter or what have you, and then you reach your goal. You get different milestones or different laps, and then you finish up at the end of the finish line once we reach that particular goal.
Absolutely, absolutely. And reaching that milestone.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes we even need we need that trophy, you know, at the end. And for many students, that is that diploma. So absolutely, 100%. I would agree on that one as well. So before I move on, does anybody else want to share, or did we drop it in the chat? Okay, I'll go ahead and move on. Thank you so much for that. So now I want you to put yourself in your student shoes for a second. Let's look at these 3 quotes. I promise these aren't made up. These are actual things that I've heard students say, and the hundreds of students or millions. It feels like millions some days of students that I work with, but I don't know what's expected of me. I didn't realize I was behind. I thought I was doing it right. Quick question, and you're welcome to unmute or type it in the chat. Which one of these have you heard from your own students? Which one hits closest to home, would you say?
Liz, I don't know if you can see the chat, but Ronald says number 2 and 3. And Natalie says she's an ID in my faculty report number 1 being the most repeated.
Yes. Yes. I fully yes, I hear that so much too. And it usually comes in sort of a phrase or after an assignment, right? I didn't know, or another one I even hear a lot as well as I didn't realize I was behind. I didn't realize there was the due date. That one is another one for me as well. Sometimes the students, it almost feels as if it's an excuse, like, oh, how did you not know? Like it was written, it was directed. And that's where I think as an advisor in the advisor role, it's super hard to step in and be that liaison almost between the faculty, right? And the students say, well, you had that expectations, right? This is how we go ahead and keep you on track. So what we have another fun activity, and I appreciate those who did share, but it's not moving. There we go. All right, so this next activity, I want you to take about 30 seconds, okay, and then tell me, what is the student actually supposed to do? You can unmute, you can drop it in the chat. What it essentially says is students will demonstrate mastery of foundational competencies as evidenced by satisfactory performance across multiple assessment modalities, including written, verbal, and implied tasks within the prescribed instructional time frame. So go ahead. What is the student supposed to do? Go ahead and unmute it, drop it in the chat. What are your thoughts? Yes. Does anybody have any guesses as far as what this benchmark is? Yes. Do the chorus. Yes. That is, yeah, I love that. I love that, Heather. Yes. Oh, I love that. Yep. Right. So even like you as us as instructional designers, we have to read it twice. Like imagine a student reading this and what they're thinking. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move on. Now look at this, which is actually the same benchmark, believe it or not, but completely rewritten. Okay, 3 items: a deadline, a checklist, a next step. What changed? What do you think changed? What did we actually do different here?
You simplified it. Just simplified it.
Right? We made it specific, right? Because you can actually see even the small visual of a check mark, right? We gave everything a deadline. Friday is now the deadline. They're even checking off all the 5 rubric items, right, before we submit something. It's in our minds, right? It's almost treated like a checklist. And I keep on saying that because every time I look at it, I really want to go and physically check it off. Like, oh, I did this, I did this. And definitely as a student myself, I look at this and I know what's due. I know what I have to do. I mean, it's not perfect. Is there anything else that you would change with this still, even it as it is?
Hi, Natalie here. I would actually have them put what 5 items on the rubric it is, because that rubric could be really long if it's a project. I don't know if y'all seen those.
Yes. Scrolling for days as you scroll through that rubric. Yes.
Yeah, the 30 criteria.
Yep.
I would also say what time and what time zone.
Oh, that's good. Yep. Because our students are, especially all over the country, especially if they're online. That's another aspect as well. Absolutely.
We've got them globally, so it's
Oh,
always it's always interesting to go, well, 5 p.m. is what in Saudi Arabia, or what part of China are you in? So I'm always saying be really specific with your time zone.
absolutely. And I think that's also on the student too, right? To make sure, they get that in by that time as well, right? Like we have our responsibilities, but they also have theirs too. I think having that correlation or collaboration sometimes is a little bit difficult.
Correct. I'm always trying to get everyone to think outside of just their own perspective, because that's what their reality is. So you have to expand your reality to include other people.
Absolutely. We tunnel vision. Tunnel vision is what we call it. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. So go ahead. So let's make this concrete, right? Like we saw that before, we talked about a little bit about the after. So these 4 things that make a benchmark clear, excuse me, specific, right? That's the very first thing that we notice. They're very specific. Specific students know exactly what things look like. There's clear guidance. There's no ambiguity. We all know what to do next. The biggest one for me is definitely the visible milestones, right? With different dates and checkpoints. Everything is easy to find. And another key one, and I think especially us as instructional designers live off of this one, is the feedback, right? Students can self-assess at any moment. They know without needing, to email you. And of course, as instructional designers, we're very familiar with rubrics and checklists, right? But the question is, are we making it visible and accessible to them at every stage? It's not just a submission, right? They're just not submitting something. Is that feedback coming back? So does anybody have anything else to add about these 4 elements? Okay, well, that means we get to go ahead and we are going to go ahead and move on to Kahoot. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing for just one moment while I go ahead and get it set up. Let me go ahead and share my screen again. Can everybody hear that okay?
Yeah, it's coming through well.
Okay.
And Liz, For anybody who hasn't done Kahoot, can you direct us to where to go?
Yes, I am so sorry. My
Okay.
apologize.
Yeah, no problem.
I apologize. You can either scan in the QR code and then it will ask you to put in the game pin, or if you already have the Kahoot app, you can quickly download it and then put in the game pin, which is 4189851. My apologies for that.
No problem at all.
All right. In the sake of time, it's about 6 questions, and it's basically like trivia. So I'll go ahead and start the game. Oh, wait, we got one more. Okay, sorry. All right, let me go ahead and hit start. Any other questions? Is everybody okay before I go ahead and begin?
I don't see anything in the chat, so I think we're good.
Okay.
Liz, you're muted.
I am on mute.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, let's go see where everybody is on the podium. Good job, MB. All right, next question. Yes, clearly explained. Good job, everyone. Good job. MB still on top. Great job. All right, let's go see if our podium if MB is on the top. Ooh, if the highest answer straight. Good job. Let's go ahead and continue. Great job, everybody. Congratulations. Looks like you guys are doing awesome. Scoreboard hasn't changed that much. All right, next question. I'm sensing a theme here. I don't know if anybody else is. All right, next question. Good job. All right, 5 in a row. That's awesome. All right, podium. Congratulations, MV. That's awesome. That's awesome. And to Mary and Sam, and thank you so much for everybody that went ahead and participated. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen for just a minute. Let me go ahead. There we go. All right, let me go ahead and set this back up. I think we have about a few minutes, so I'll just share this last. So last thing, and this generally helps me improve every workshop, is if you can, please scan this QR code or click on the link to fill out the feedback form. It should just take about 2 minutes. Every single response helps me improve it. And last thing before I let you go, I am Elizabeth Permiano Evans. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Here's my LinkedIn information. Thank you all so much for being here today and hanging out with me. I look forward to definitely getting to know you all or know you a little bit more as TOPkit continues. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.